There once was a girl named Katie.
She was a fucking fancy witch lady.
She loved her some Spock.
But don't forget the cock.
And stay spooky and never be shady.
That's Kitty's job. Just kidding. We love y'all. Happy freaking birthday, Katie.
From your podcast besties, Donna
and Carrie.
You know, a paranormal chicks.
So creep it real.
And stay spooky.
Bye.
Hi Katie, it's Dale and I'm here to wish you a very happy birthday. Kenny asked us if we wanted to say anything or if we wanted to tell you a little spooky story or something, and I thought I'd tell you about somewhere that's very close to where I live, just in case you want to visit, you know, just saying. But it's literally 5 miles from my house, and it's a set of man-made caves called Chislehurst Caves. And as you can imagine, big dark holes underground. There's going to be loads of spooky stories. But basically, they were made just to mine stuff back in the day. Later on, they were used in World War II as shelters, and they used to store ammunition and stuff like that, and grow mushrooms, which is suspicious. But they say that a lot of the hauntings there are actually happy hauntings, because it was a place that was a place of shelter and community back in the day. So when people passed on, they went back to somewhere they felt safe, especially the children. And apparently that's a lot of the stuff you can hear is just laughing children, you know. It's supposed to be happy or whatever, but it sounds pretty horrific to me. But anyway, but yeah, it's a really interesting set of caves. It's really cool to look up. Loads of rock bands have played there, like Rolling Stones and David Bowie and Jimi Hendrix. Apparently Mick Jagger did loads of paintings in there, but you can't go in there anymore, you know, because they like to spoil all our fun. But yeah, I just thought I'd tell you about it, and then you can decide whether you're going to come visit me or not. Come visit me. Anyway, I hope you have a really lovely day, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye.
Happy birthday, Katie. Thank you for being a great witch mother, a wonderful internet friend, and bringing us the greatness that is the podcast. Couldn't get through a workday without you and Kenny and your delicious, wonderful rants and laughs and ramblings that I love so much. Have a great golden birthday. All the love to you.
Hey Katie, it's Christy, and for your birthday, I wrote you a little poem. There's a place in France where the naked ladies dance. Katie be there, shaking her ass all in the air, 'cause that bitch just don't care. She is the Witch Mutha. She is the tits. And she's working all her bits. Happy birthday. Nothing fucking rhymes with birthday.
All right, did I get you? Did I surprise you on your birthday? Those were just a few happy birthday wishes from a few members of our Haunted Heart family, and I wanted to do one of my own for you, Katie, my best friend, my Hallow Queen, my Witch Mother. I am so thankful to have you as a friend, a best friend at that, and honestly as a family member. So I found a little poem that I wanted to read you on your birthday. This is the lyrics to All Star from Smash Mouth, translated into Aramaic and then back into English. So this one is for you. There was one who said unto me that the universe was going to cause me to tremble, that I am not the sharpest cutting implement in the storehouse. She had the appearance unto me as a stupid one, with her finger and her thumb in the frame of a Greek gamma upon her forehead. Behold, the years begin coming, and do not cease from coming. Feed unto the axioms. And I fell upon the earth and ran. It was not acceptable, if not to live for the sake of pleasurable things. Your brain increases its wisdom, but your heart increases its stupidity. A great amount to do, a great amount to see. Therefore, there is no difficult problem if we take the streets of the backside. You will not know if you do not go. You will not shine if you do not glow. Happy birthday, babe. Thank you for letting us in.
I was burying bodies out in the desert.
Neighbors claimed they practice witchcraft.
Quiet. Everything will be fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your spooky show, the Haunted Heart Podcast. You are listening to the ghost of my former 20s. Today, Kenny in his 30s is not present.
It's not.
Anymore.
He's not present. No.
Anymore. That's what I've decided, actually.
To just go with not being present.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like a reverse resolution. That
Yeah.
sounds like the opposite of what you should fucking do when people are like, you just need to focus on mindfulness and being present. And you're just like, I'm just going to focus on the opposite of that. The
No,
void.
Mm-mm. I have found that when you try to be present or be helpful or just be in the moment, it usually doesn't turn out that great. Other people might have
It
different
doesn't?
luck than me, but
So
for
you
me,
just gotta
it just
escape.
doesn't work.
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be doing today is drinking this drink. And I don't want to hear any mouth from any of you because I'm
Drinking?
fasting. And I know you can
Oh.
hear the fucking ice. But you know what? This fucking bullshit ass seltzer water is the only thing keeping me alive. So
She's literally living off of seltzer water and
baked tofu squares.
yes, seltzer water, baked tofu squares, and just fucking determination, man.
My overwhelming desire to just live. I
Yes.
don't know. No, I'm doing intermittent fasting. Look it up. It's great. It's good stuff. It's also not what this podcast is about.
Everyone, yeah. Welcome to. Well, I mean, kind of if you think about it, like we
I'm
fast
scared
our
where you're going.
our Netflix and kills, our
Yeah.
Patreon. We like to fast.
Hey, wait, speaking of Patreon though, we got some motherfuckers up in here. Oh, by the way, I realized the other day we never say our names on this podcast.
That's why I kind of started out the show with my name. Did I though?
I don't know that you said. I think you just said it's the ghost of former Kenny, but they
They don't know who that is.
They might not know who that is.
No, if they're brand new, they don't know. They have no clue.
Acting brand new. Yeah, that's Kenny over there. He's
Hi.
the male voice you'll hear. And
Occasionally.
and I'm Katie, and I'm the otherworldly voice that you'll hear.
On the show. And listen, you're either gonna like it or you're gonna hate it. That's all I gotta say.
That's it. It's fine.
No, listen, remember a couple episodes back, our brand was We Talk Different.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, we kind of do.
Oh no, that wasn't on an episode. I think that was actually on a
Was that just our lives? It
no,
bleeds together.
No, that was on a
Patreon
blooper
exclusive?
clip. Yep.
Oh, look at that. Segueing into the Patreon section.
Back
We
to
have a
Patreon.
new family member to welcome, and I'm very excited to welcome her to the fold.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, when we say family member, we are talking about our Patreon. We have various tiers that you can. We have lots of tiers every day, trying to start the show.
Oh, got it.
But
It took me a while.
But
I was like, there's not really that many tiers, Kenny.
there's lots of tiers, Katie. Lots.
Oh, man. I just face planted into my mic.
Lots of
Enjoy that
tears.
later when you're editing.
Oh my god.
Enjoy also these fucking ice sounds.
I have no plans to edit absolutely anything. No, but we have a Patreon. We have content on there that is exclusive for Patreon members. Very exciting. Katie's on there reading smut. We're reading spooky stories. And then once a month, you get a special like RIP Lounge bonus full length episode.
Full length. And also full girth, because
balls
that's
deep
really what's
episode.
important. Am I right? Am I right, ladies and gents?
Mm-hmm.
Full length, full girth, free ep for you.
Yes. So.
And get up on there. So yeah, it's patreon.com/thehauntedheart if you want to get up in it. And I'm trying to get up in this invocation.
Yes. So we like to invoke the names of people who sign on to our Patreon. We have candles here that are dressed with all sorts of goodwill and good intentions and just all sorts of good shit that is headed directly your way. And today we are going to invoke the name of Darian B., who has joined our Stay Spooky Squad. Here's all of this ASMR for you.
Welcome to the club, girl.
Yes, your candle will be lit by our sides in the darkness for at least the length of this episode, but always and forever in our dark
30-year-old hearts.
Oh, fuck you, bitch.
Also, I have a little mini shout out. We did have a Patreon member, Sierra M. She is not new. She's not new around these parts. She done been around here. But she did make the transition, if you will, from being a Haunted Heart Harem member to being a Stay Spooky Squad member. So we appreciate you stepping up your contribution, Sierra. We really appreciate everybody on the Patreon. We thank you guys so much for supporting us. We joke and shit on the show, but like, it still is astounding to us that you guys care enough about the show to actually literally buy into it and help us do what we do and help us grow and do more. And so we're just very, very, very thankful, deeply from the bottom of our hearts, to all of you.
Yes, very well said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
before we get started this week, I have a thing.
You have a thing.
I have a listener email.
Oh shit!
Blow the cobwebs off the old inbox, right? No, I do. It's from a couple episodes back. It was from your episode on the Man in Room 1046.
Oh, I didn't
back.
catch this.
Yes. It's from Kathy W. I don't know if you want me to say your last name on the show, girl, so I'm not gonna. It's from Kathy W. Kathy with an I, so you know she's fancy. You know what I'm saying? She's a little different than Kathy with a Y. With a
rye?
Well, I'm having a stroke. A little different from the other Kathys you done met, girl. Anyway, Kathy with an I says the subject was President Hotel. And to be honest with you, when this first fucking dropped into our inbox, all I saw was President Hotel, and I swear to God, I thought the President Hotel had like contacted us and given us that cease and desist we've been waiting on. I swear to you, I definitely thought it was them. And I was like, fuck. How are we going to take that episode down? But no, it wasn't. Imagine my surprise when I open it up to find Kathy with an I's sweet message inside. And she says, loved the episode. I must try and stay in room 1046 with 2 exclamation points. Just an FYI, my favorite place to stay in Kansas City and has always been super classy. So it's not like a Roach Motel. It's like a super classy, like it's not a rent by the hour type of place. It's classy for Kathy with an I.
No, does Kathy rent by the hour?
I don't think she does. She signed off with keep awesome.
Oh, no,
which
that's
I
awesome.
appreciate.
Listen, I joke, but thank you so much, Kathy. We really love. Listen, I really hope you're not offended.
God.
I really hope you're not offended. Please take that as a huge compliment.
Jesus, this is why they don't email us.
But no, thank you for sending that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
it
I
was super
also
cool.
think that a member of one of our in our Facebook group actually posted that they work in the area and have been to the bar, and they also said that it was a really nice place.
Yeah. We heard a lot of feedback that it is a very nice place. So, President Hotel, if you were listening, girl, I'm sorry. You know, just take it in
We drug
stride.
her through the mud.
We ain't never been to Kansas City.
Ain't never been.
We don't know.
I don't even know what...
Actually, okay. I can't say it. Well, that's going to be weird now. We might be to Kansas City, be visiting Kansas City at some point in the future.
Possibly.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's weird. And you know what? He's not going to edit it out. He's going to let it be weird. Kansas City, you just sit and wait on me.
Yes. So last week was my little birthday episode.
It was.
And it was like a cute little moment, I thought, you know.
I mean, here's the thing. If I could have a podcast that was just us reading creepypastas, I fucking would, because creepypastas are super fun to me. I love them. I love the concept of them. I love the concept of like a scary story going viral and almost like infecting people. Like, everybody has heard Russian sleep experiment. Everybody, if you haven't heard it or read it, look it up. Or Reddit? What the fuck is going on with me today?
What?
If you haven't heard it or read it, actually, I think that was right.
That
I
was
don't know.
right, Katie.
I'm struggling.
That was,
you know, let me just have some
Katie,
seltzer.
that was right.
Anyway, I love the concept of creepypastas. I think it's very fascinating, like searching for the universal scares in there that kind of resonate with all of us. So that was super fun.
Yeah.
I had fun.
I mean, it was nice. It was chill. I mean, like I said, that was kind of like, it was also kind of like my birthday gift to me too, because I just didn't want to really like
do anything
just that week
at
all. I was going through some things that week.
That's what it's all about.
So I just didn't like want to do anything.
Live.
Yeah. And come to find out, I still have to. But actually, this will be Katie's birthday episode.
It will be. And it's actually coming out on my birthday. So as you listen to my sound waves getting all up in your ear holes, it is actually my day of birth.
And it's also
unless you listen on a day that's not the day we fucking release it, in which case, why are you here? I'm kidding. I love you. Stay. Please stay.
Seriously.
Please don't leave.
No, but it's also actually your golden birthday. Correct?
Motherfucker. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
It's your golden birthday.
I didn't know that. It is 28, and I was born on the 28th. God damn, I thought I had already passed that.
No, that only happens once in your lifetime, folks.
Well, shit, now I'm sad. Now it's like a thing. Now you've turned it into a thing. I was mostly apathetic, to be honest. And now I'm sad and pensive.
We need to get you just an all gold outfit and just
100%.
dip you in gold.
I mean, I fucking hope that you're like bringing me fucking gold accoutrement for my golden birthday. Like, all you fuckers better
I'm gonna get you
be lavishing me in gold.
Gold flaked food.
Oh my God. I'm just going to eat straight up gold. AU.
I'm just going to shove a 24 karat bar of gold down your throat.
100%. Get me a gold vibrator. Get it now. Get it now. I promise you, I will marry the human being who gets me a gold vibrator for my fucking golden birthday.
You be careful what you say on air. Because I'm going to tell you what, when I go to that fucking P.O. box, and if
you get a package that's just going... Yeah.
Wow.
Do they make Hitachis in gold? They should.
I feel like they probably
Maybe
do.
I'll purchase that for myself. Anyway, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was going to be my golden birthday. Well, now
I didn't
I'm
even
like
realize
sad.
that was a thing.
Shit.
Like I kind of like I didn't even realize it because when I never like I didn't know about that because mine
When you
was
turned
on
20.
the 20th
Yeah.
when I turned 20.
Yeah.
So
you didn't know it was a thing.
I didn't know. That was 10 years ago.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
I could have
So-
been like that. I could have not known.
But I had to tell
Now
you.
I'm going to know. And I'm going to be like, I don't know. It's weird. I feel weirdly pensive. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, it's my fucking birthday. And I'm here.
Damn.
Hopefully at this point on my actual birthday, I'm eating some delicious, delicious noms. But yeah, this is my birthday episode. And I basically told Kenny to fuck off. And I said, I'm going to do what I want because it's my birthday. So he has no idea what we're about to do for this episode.
You did the opposite of what I did.
Oh, you did. Kenny was like, it's my birthday. I don't want to do shit. And I was like, it's my birthday. I'm doing everything.
That's that's kind of Leo Virgo of us though. So
100%.
I mean,
In
it's
true Virgo form, I have completely taken over today. Kenny has no idea what's about to happen. And I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah. So I have a thing that every year on my birthday, I try to embrace something or do something or I try to push some sort of boundary. I try to do something that I've never done before or embrace something new, all in the interest and spirit of growth. So for my birthday episode, I wanted to talk about a topic that I've never talked about on the podcast before. And some of you folks who have gone back and listened to earlier episodes may have heard me say on this very show that I would never talk about this topic on this show.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. Was it early on?
Early on, I
Is it a
believe I
well-known?
said that I would never talk about it, and I'm gonna go back on that because I'm a fucking liar. No, no, I'm gonna go back on it in the interest of pushing boundaries with myself, because as many of you know, and I tell you what I'm gonna talk about, you know that this topic deeply unsettles me. It's one of the few things that actually truly scares me. Which is why I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm gonna, because this podcast is about being scared.
True. Very true.
Technically about being spooked, but you know.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea what I'm going to talk
All right.
about?
So I have a couple of things. So I have a couple theories.
Kenny's like, let me just throw everything at the wall.
Possibly
See what sticks.
a well-known case. I don't know, or well-known somebody.
I think it would depend on your circle.
Or UFOs, abduction cases, possibly. But I mean, we would do that anyway, I feel like. So I don't think that would be a huge thing. I don't really know.
Abduction cases was correct.
Oh, shit! Ha ha!
So aliens, the concept of aliens, anything to do with aliens scares the ever-living shit out of me. Not from a ooh, spooky, scary monster like mindset, but from a like interdimensional beings, like we are just such a tiny speck in the known universe, or even outside the known universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're such a tiny speck on a tiny rock orbiting a tiny star. And the scale of things as they are is so much bigger than us.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much outside of us and what we know that it is the concept of that vastness, of that bigness and that unknown is just like earth-shatteringly terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Just the void itself and not knowing what is out there is absolutely, it's like an existential crisis.
Oh, totally. Like
It's existential terror.
like the idea of space is just as terrifying to me as like being alone on the ocean.
Yeah.
And so when you see movies that are set in space, and just the thought of like getting lost in space and just floating into nothing
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you would die quickly, but
Yeah.
still.
Or worse, that dark, endless expanse of space being inhabited by creatures you know nothing about who are infinitely more powerful than you. Or not. Or maybe not more fucking powerful than you. Maybe single cell fucking anema. Like, what is it?
Anemas?
Not
Amoebas.
anemas. Amoebas. That's the one. Fasting is making me dumber. I swear to God. Yes, even single cell like amoeba type organisms like existing on some far off planet on the other side of the universe is terrifying to me. The concept, and this is actual science, right? This is not a scary story. The universe is constantly expanding. Scientists have measured that. That's actually literally a fact. So every second that we are existing, as you listen to this fucking podcast now, the universe is expanding. And it's just sort of endlessly doing that. And that's proven in science. And that fact, fucking terrifying to me.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, where's it going? Where's it going to go? What happens when it runs out of room?
I feel like
Is there a concept of room?
Yeah, I also feel like we're talking about weight gain. And I'm just imagining myself or yourself, both of us together, just expanding.
Yeah. I've definitely had periods of my life that were, in fact, exactly like that.
Yeah. No, but it's just a nothing that is growing.
Yeah.
A void that is just growing. How many times have you screamed into the void today?
Today?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say the limit does not exist. Probably, I had a decent day, so probably only about 4 times.
Oh, okay.
My therapist canceled therapy on me today, by the way. I just want to let you know. She literally hit me with a text 30 minutes before therapy and was like, my alarm just went off. And I was like, are you allowed to do that as a therapist? Are you fucking allowed?
Wait, I've been told you this. Are you sure? Like, are you doing like this weird split thing on me? Like, are you
where
going
the therapist is
somewhere
me?
And like, are you your own therapist? Is that what's going on?
I genuinely don't think so, but I might have you just kind of drive me over there next week just because I'm a little worried.
Gonna go with you next time.
There's a lot. Because then, not to get too personal, but then she like texted me back and she was like, man, I missed you this morning. Like there was like some issues over the weekend that I really wanted to talk about. Like I think that we're co-therapying maybe each other.
I don't know that this is the best thing.
I don't know. Leave it to like the ultimate Virgo to just like take control of therapy and drive it.
No, here's how we're going to fix myself.
Yeah. And here's what we're going to fix yourself. Let's talk about your problems.
It's a
Amanda.
deflection of talking about mine.
Amazing.
We're going to deflect.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. My therapist's name is not Amanda. I made up a name, by the way.
Oh, okay.
She has a really cool name. Anyway, enough about that. I love my therapist and just need to make sure we aren't the same person. I don't know. She knows the name of the show. She might. Shit. If you're out there, I love you. Even though you did reschedule therapy 30 minutes before the start time of therapy.
I did, abandonment
No, it's fine. We
issues, but
rescheduled.
it's fine.
We rescheduled. It's totally fine. No, I don't have abandonment issues with women. It's fine. That's why I'm just waiting on my wife. Because I can, abandonment only comes into play with men. Anyway, so back to our topic at hand, which is not my ever increasing void within. It is the void without. So today we are delving into aliens. We are delving into one abduction case in particular that is very interesting. It's not particularly well known. It is well known in like UFO enthusiast circles. But it's
well known in the crop circles
yes,
down here.
Yes. but you probably haven't heard of it unless you are a UFO enthusiast, in which case, let me tell you something about Twitter. Twitter is not for you to fucking lambaste somebody who's trying to create content.
I love this fucking like hipster, like, you probably don't know this case, but I'm gonna talk about it because you don't know about it.
Yes, that is what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. So even if you aren't like a super alien enthusiast, like I don't want to like freak anybody out. I'm not gonna like. I mean, we're gonna go in on it, but this case is interesting just from a couple different angles. So even if you're not into aliens, keep listening. I promise I'm going to give you a good fucking story. Okay? All right? It's my promise to you.
It's going to be a happy ending.
Okay? Don't at me. All right. So this is the case of the mysterious demise of Todd Sees. Sees.
The demise. Okay.
So got to acknowledge source material on this because I actually did do quite a bit of research. No brag. Actually, a little bit of a humble brag there. So my primary source for this was the National UFO Reporting Center case briefing on it, which the National UFO Reporting Center has a fucking amazing Microsoft Word art logo. So just gonna let you know, if you want to Google that, it's worth it.
I would expect nothing more.
It's like the diagonal set, big
the
blue letters.
Effect.
Yeah, but blue.
I know
and
which
like
one.
there's it's good. It's good.
Word art.
Also, I consulted a website called the Black Vault.
There we go.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
The Black Vault.
It's pretty much exactly what you're expecting it to be. So I did consult case file number 548146 by Erica Southey. So that was a jumping off point for me, so I really appreciated that. Secondary sources include the Daily Item newspaper, the newspaper of Northumberland County, and the UFO Research Center of Pennsylvania.
I have to be careful with that now. I read something about a podcast that got in trouble for that.
For what?
They had to take down some of their episodes.
Not acknowledging source material?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Acknowledge your sources. Deeply apologizes to every source that we've never acknowledged.
Listen, we try, and I
we
try
do
to.
Try.
But hi.
Look, I'm never presenting to you that I actually.
Honestly though, unless one of us actually says like these are my words from like, you know, like I wrote this, which I maybe have done like once or twice.
Yeah. Well, these are my words, but some of the words are borrowed. All of the facts are borrowed. I did not investigate this case. I did not drive to Pennsylvania and investigate this case, although I kind of fucking want to now.
I was wondering where you were.
All right. So with that said, we will delve into the case. So the date of the event, as it was acknowledged in the case files, is August 4th, 2002. My humps plays softly in the background.
Yeah.
My lovely lady love. Anyway, I think that was around 02, right? That was maybe later.
I don't know.
I don't know. You know? Just a side note. Alanis Morissette covered that song, so if you don't know about that, go ahead and Google that.
Yes, she did.
Fucking My Humps by Alanis Morissette. All right. Now we have to put our serious tinfoil hats on.
Okay. I have mine on.
We have to get in the mode.
I'm on.
Okay. So on August 4th, 2002, 39-year-old Todd Sees, the son of a farmer, Little League coach, and father of two, left his home in Northumberland, Pennsylvania on his four-wheeler at 5 a.m. and traveled approximately 7.8 miles to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, to scout deer in the nearby forest. According to a statement his father gave the Daily Item, which was Northumberland's newspaper, Todd knew this territory like the back of his hand. According to his family, Sees often went scouting for deer in order to keep apprised on the best hunting spots. And given that deer hunting season in Pennsylvania doesn't start until September 21st, it appears that Sees was getting a jump start on tracking down the best hunting holes for the fall. And just another humble brag, I'm the one who looked up when deer hunting season starts in PA because I wanted to know if this motherfucker was trying to fucking like get some illegal pelts in.
Yeah.
You don't hunt
Illegal
deer for
pelts.
pelts. You don't hunt deer for pelts.
Illegal pelts.
Yeah. No, there's so many. If you hang out with people who hunt, there's so many stories of like when because these people they just hang out in the woods. Like they're just in the woods a lot.
Yeah.
Hunting other animals, just kind of being there, just kind of being themselves.
Yeah.
All the other things that groups of hunters get up to when they're isolated in the woods away from their
I've
wives.
seen that video.
So if you hang out with hunters, which I have at certain points of my life, everybody has a story about how they accidentally like killed a deer out of season and they were like, fuck. And then they kind of just like drug it off and waited for like 2 days and then came back and got it. Or just pretended and forged the dates.
But it's deer.
Yeah. But there's certain seasons that you have to hunt certain animals in. So like turkey season is from like, I don't fucking know. Like November 1st to like January
for
1st.
Thanksgiving, yep. November
But
1st.
I do know that the fucking deer hunting season starts September 21st in Pennsylvania. So you're welcome for that. Got some weird ads on Facebook after that information. After Googling that. Anywho, so it's August 4th. This motherfucker is early. As a Virgo, I appreciate that. But he is scouting, I'm assuming, to get him a good spot for the fall.
Okay.
He could also be hunting illegally.
Wait, is he just waiting for the fall? I'm confused.
So okay, sorry. Need to explain hunting. So frequently, if you are a hunter and you go out into the woods to kill things, right? You don't just walk out on the first day of deer hunting season, September 21st in Pennsylvania, and sit down with your gun and like wait for the deer to come by and shoot them. Because deer are like any other animal, right? They are kind of creatures of habit. So there are certain spots where they congregate, and the spots aren't always the same from year to year. So scouting, this concept of scouting, is going into the woods to kind of like sit around, literally, you just sit around and learn the deer's migration patterns. So do they gather in this particular meadow? Are there good sturdy trees that you could put a tree stand in so that you can look down on that meadow so that it'll be more likely that you would get a good shot lined up, basically. You don't want to be in the shitty areas. So you go and scout for a couple weeks beforehand in order to figure out where you actually want to set up when it is legal for you to start hunting.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
It's kind of like before Macy's has a sale and you walk through and kind of like get a good feel for the merch. Then you come back during the Labor Day sale and you know where everything
Figure
fucking
out
is.
what you want beforehand.
And you hid the cute shit behind the ugly shit so that you can come right back in next day and snatch that shit up.
Yep.
It's exactly like that, but deer and also guns.
Okay.
Maybe bows. Anyway. So that's exactly what Todd Sees is doing, right? We believe that he was out scouting for the best hunting spots to find deer. But there is some suspicion that Todd was hunting something other than deer that day. Something very different.
Dick.
No, he was by himself. It's possible that Todd didn't let on that he was looking into the paranormal for fear that his family would become targets or that they might think he was crazy. See, other residents who lived nearby to this particular area had mentioned strange sightings of unexplained phenomenon or UFOs by name on previous occasions in this area, including on the day of Sees' death. Regardless of whatever he was looking for, when Todd Sees didn't return home by 12:30 in the afternoon, his family got worried and went looking for him. Apparently he had left at 5 a.m. and he didn't go that far, less than 8 miles down the road. And when he didn't get back, people started to get concerned. So apparently either some sources reported that he said he would be back by 12:30 and that's why people got suspicious. Some sources said that he would go scouting all the time and he was always back before that time. and that's why it was suspicious. But regardless, the family is concerned at 12:30 when Todd hasn't shown back up. So his brother, Todd Sees, wife, Sue Sees, and his father, Harold Brubb Sees, combed the woods for hours without any sign of Todd. Finally, Todd's 18-year-old son found his abandoned four-wheeler at the west end of the ridge in the area where Todd was supposed to be scouting. That was about 2 miles from his home. So they found the four-wheeler and they continued to search for Todd, but continued searching didn't yield any further signs of him. So the family at this point decided to place some calls to the authorities and get them involved. Since it was pretty hot that day, roughly 90 degrees Fahrenheit for the folks that listen across the pond. I don't know what the fuck that is in Celsius.
We don't do that here. But
in PA, it's hot as shit. So in early August. So 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It's kind of hot. Some people thought that maybe Todd got dehydrated and had passed out in the woods. So they're kind of racing the clock here because they want to be able to find him, obviously, before he dies in such heat. After searching for hours, the search was called off until the following day when police, firefighters, canine units, and about 200 people, all told, searched for another 36 hours to no avail. Finally, around 0800 hours, and that was from the case file. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that I read it like that. I'm so embarrassed.
At 0800 hours.
I hate my fucking self. When I was typing it out, I wrote that and I was like, don't fucking do this.
At 8 a.m.
I changed. I like, when I wrote it out, I was like, don't write it this way. Because I was definitely thinking it that way when I was writing these fucking notes. Let me tell you, I was in the mood.
0800 hours.
And I was like, you better change that to 8 a.m. or you're going to say something dumb. And I didn't. And I did say something dumb.
You didn't say anything dumb.
It's fine. I'm going to embrace it. Around 0800 hours. It actually gets serious here, though. On August 6th is when they found Todd. Upon expanding their search radius to a wider area and using helicopters, authorities spotted a speck of white amidst the forest near a pond at the western base of Montour Ridge, which was about 150 yards from Todd Sees' house, so not very far at all. The area was so dense and thick with vegetation that it took trained searchers over 20 minutes to get to the spot where they found Sees' remains. According to the search team, Sees' body was intact, and there was no sign of him being bitten or injured in any way. However, Todd was wearing only his underwear, he was emaciated, not bloated, he was white, had an expression of horror on his face.
Emaciated?
Yes. When he went up the mountain, he was fully dressed, boots, camo vest, hat, socks, and pants. Because, and the reason why he had so many clothes on, if you don't spend a lot of time outside, you might not know this. But when you go scouting in areas like this, it is dense vegetation. He is walking through the forest and you can get a tick, honey. And a tick ain't no joke.
No,
you can get that
gotta
Rocky
watch
Mountain
out.
spotted fever.
Oh, that Lyme disease,
I
y'all.
had a cousin got bit by a tick and he can't eat nothing with hooves no more. That is a literal quote from my life that someone said to me. To my fucking
you gotta
face.
watch out. You gotta check for ticks.
I was like, how does that happen? Like, you just, like, how did the tick, like, disease differentiate what animals have hooves and which animals don't?
I don't
I'm
know.
like,
You just gotta watch out. Those ticks can get in all sorts of
It
weird
just
places.
sounds like a fucking diet. I definitely have had a tick to the groin before. Just letting you know. It was on
I
the
have
left
too.
side.
I had one right.
They go for that. It's a sweet meat.
Right on my balls.
On your balls?
Yes.
Oh my God, I
I've
didn't
had
know they
one-
bit balls. No, mine was like in between where my leg meets my body. It bit your fucking balls?
Yeah, no, I've had one like
Shit.
Like this was when I was younger, but like yes, right there.
Shit.
Just right on the seam.
Oh no.
It was awful.
That's
God,
awful.
it was bad.
That's really bad. Oh no. I'm so sorry for you on that one. Man, I thought I had it bad. Nah. Okay. Well, now I'm terrified of that. Anyway, ticks are scary, guys. We should have done an episode on ticks. Stay safe.
Actually, I thought we did. No, we didn't.
No.
Okay, continue.
That was vampires. So that's why it was unusual that Todd was found only wearing his underwear, because when he had left the house, he was, of course, fully dressed. He had the jeans, he had the boots on, he had the socks pulled up over the jeans, he had the vest, he had the hat. Like, even though it was fucking hot, you got to protect yourself from ticks.
Just straight out of an Eddie Bauer catalog.
Yes. So this case is already weird, and there's a couple details that I've mentioned that are already weird, and you may or may not have picked up on them. But this is where it gets even weirder. There are numerous unconfirmed reports that special agents from the FBI or some other federal law enforcement agency were summoned to the site where Todd Sees' remains were found. In fact, reports state that the FBI showed up within 30 minutes after the body was found and took over the investigation. Military-type helicopters hovered over the area, according to some of the local residents. And they actually interviewed some of the farmers and neighbors who lived nearby, and many folks had reported seeing an object flying in the sky that didn't make any noise. A few of them reported seeing the object hover over the power lines where the four-wheeler was found, and what looked like to be a beam, that must be a direct quote, what looked like to be a beam of light.
It looked like to be a beam hanging
Yes.
right down
It was a
from
direct
the
quote.
center right down there, all the way down, and it hit the wood line right there, and that's all I saw, and I didn't see nothing else.
So they reported that they actually had seen the beam of light shine down, and they saw a person going up into the object. Of course, I must stress again that this is unconfirmed reports from farmers and fishermen in the area.
Nobody did anything? They didn't say nothing?
Apparently not, until
Oh.
afterwards.
I'm looking down at you. You folks.
So, yeah. If you see me fucking get lifted into a ship with a fucking beam of light, fucking say something. Please say something. Please call somebody.
Your fucking ass right now.
Well, I just kind of ain't none of my business, you know?
I'm over here like,
So I'm just minding my business.
ain't nothing my business.
Jesus.
She was into some weird shit now.
The Lord came and took her back.
I just thought it was some of her foreplay.
Maybe. So, 2 autopsies of Sees' remains and numerous toxicology reports failed to reveal anything substantial. No toxins in his body, no visible cuts or bruises, and Sees' wife was told that she could not have the body for at least 6 to 8 weeks.
Whoa.
Of course, nobody really knows what the actual condition of Todd Sees' body was outside the reports, because the Sees family was curiously never allowed to view the body.
But wait. Who found him again?
Authorities
Authorities
found him. And trained
Okay.
search and rescue, retrieval
And then
folks
these
cut through the dense
fucking-
vegetation to get there.
And then the Men in
Which
Black
is also
showed up
important.
immediately.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that Men in Black is actually like a term, and potentially they were there, but there aren't any confirmed reports of that. We can get into that if you want to a little later.
Well,
So
let me just bookmark that, and we'll come back to it.
bookmark it. There's a lot of bookmarks in this story. So the family, yes, was never allowed to view their body. And why was this? Gary Steffen, who was the chief of police for Northumberland County, said that due to his personal connection with Todd Sees, there was no need for his family to go through the experience of seeing his emaciated remains. James Kelly, the county coroner, examined Sees' remains on the spot, and his results were inconclusive. And as we said, with no significant external or internal injuries, according to the record, the coroner was completely unable to determine a clear cause of death and sent for further toxicology testing. Couple days later, a boot was found about a mile. A boot? A couple days later, a boot was found about a mile from the four-wheeler, at the top of a tree, 75 feet up. I'll say that again. They found a boot about a mile from the four-wheeler at the top of a tree, 75 feet up in the air. And that boot was identified as belonging to Todd Sees.
Interesting.
Reports state that military helicopters were seen in the weeks following the event, scouring the mountain at least once a day. sometimes several times a day. Later, reports were gathered from local farmers and fishermen alleging UFO activity. And there was actually one report in particular that we will get into a little bit later that is actually filed with the National UFO Reporting Center. Eventually, Sees' body was returned to the family in a sealed casket, and it was strongly suggested that they do not open it. The family acquiesced, and Sees was buried sight unseen by any of his family members. A toxicology report released months later suggested cocaine toxicity as the probable cause of Sees' death. Local police immediately closed the investigation, and nothing further was said about it on the record, despite much chatter within various corners of the internet that Todd Sees was undoubtedly the victim of an alien abduction gone wrong.
So I just find it hard to believe that they would just not view the body after having not see it.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting to me. Like, even if they were like, we strongly suggest for you to not open this. For me, oh, honey, I'm opening it right now in front of you.
So there's a couple questions to address. That's one of them. Why was the family never allowed to see the body?
But it's not like they were forbidden to, though. It was just suggested they don't.
In UFO circles, strongly suggested is kind of a buzzword that means we sealed this casket, and if you unseal it, you're going to prison. Like that type of thing. That type of strong suggestion where somebody says, we strongly suggest, as they have their hand on the hilt of their gun. On their gun. The handle of their gun. So it could have been one of those situations.
Okay.
Something else that's interesting to me is the initial report confirmed Sees' body as intact, and then immediately, a little bit later, refers to it as emaciated. Sort of two different connotations there.
I would say.
Also, how could Sees' body, he was only lost for roughly 24 hours, right? So how could his body go from normal living body, right, to completely emaciated in less than 24 hours?
Right. That makes me think that, he was dried out almost.
Yeah. So, couple things to think about. There is the theory of dehydration. It was 90 degrees that day. So I thought maybe could the heat do this? So I did a little bit of research on the stages of human decomposition, and it takes about 24 to 48 hours for organs to begin to decompose.
Yeah.
Todd Sees was only gone 24 hours.
Right. He wouldn't even be... No, I don't think...
So it's unlikely that we could get to a state of complete emaciation in only 24 hours, despite the fact that it was 90 degrees outside. 3 to 5 days after death, the body starts to bloat. So it's not unusual when the police reports describe the body as not bloated. It's not unusual that the body wouldn't be bloated because that actually, it's sort of a misunderstanding that people think that bodies left out in heat start bloating immediately. Bodies don't start bloating until about 3 to 5 days after death. 8 to 10 days after death, the body turns from green to red as blood decomposes and the organs in the abdomen accumulate gas. Several weeks after death, nails and teeth fall out, and 1 month after death, the body starts to liquefy. Internal organ decomposition takes between 24 to 72 hours. So it's very unlikely that Todd Sees would have been totally emaciated from natural decomposition, right? So that is unlikely that was the case. Then again, is it just an unfortunate word choice in the report? Totally could be.
Yeah.
It's possible, going off of the dehydration theory, because I'm going to go back and forth, right? Going off of the dehydration theory, it was super hot. Potentially, in the process of dehydrating, he removed his clothing because he felt that he couldn't get enough air, right? That's something that happens a lot of times. You'll see people who actually freeze to death do that. When they're suffering from severe hypothermia, they actually feel hot because their blood vessels have like expanded and they feel hot internally, but they are actually in the final stages of freezing to death. So it's possible that he could have been severely dehydrated and removed his clothing himself, I guess.
But the boot was found all the way up in the tree.
Boot was found in the tree. That is very funny, isn't it? Because why would you throw your boot into a tree? Why would you throw it up?
Would you be able to throw it that high up?
No, not 75 feet.
No.
Other questions. Somebody posed the question, a couple actually, case researchers had posed the question, if he had a gun on him, why was no mention made of it? Where were the accessories normally taken by a hunter? That, to me, is kind of a bogus question because usually, if you're scouting, I've been out scouting before. You don't really carry a gun because it's not deer season yet. Deer season didn't open for more than a month in advance. You know, it was August 4th when he was out there. Deer season didn't even start until September 21st. If you see a deer, you can't kill it anyway. There's no reason to take your gun. You might take a hatchet in case you come across a snake. Or a knife or something like that, but it's unlikely that he would have carried a gun because it would have just slowed him down hiking around to scout new areas, right?
Right.
So that one I kind of like can debunk on the basis of you don't really carry a gun when you're scouting because he was not hunting, he was scouting. And it would have been illegal for him to kill any deer on August 4th in Pennsylvania.
That's what they say about me at the donut shop.
That you're just scouting?
He's not hunting, he's scouting.
And I think you might be hunting at the donut shop. Here's another question that I find particularly interesting, possibly one of the most compelling questions. Why didn't any of the canine dogs scent trace either the four-wheeler or Todd's tracks?
Okay, so the dogs they didn't find him?
They didn't. Remember I told you that they didn't find Todd Sees until they got in a helicopter so that they could view the area from above. And that's when they saw a speck of white in this impossibly dense part of the forest.
Yeah.
That was also near water. That's important. But the canine dogs had been searching for hours. Neither one of them picked up the four-wheeler or Todd's tracks on foot.
Interesting. Okay.
So I did a little research. Again.
Oh,
right?
All right.
So I said, okay, it was really hot outside. Maybe heat could affect dogs' ability to smell. Not true. No effect whatsoever, as far as I could find. So I thought, okay, maybe the fact that it was a really densely wooded area, they made mention that the area that Todd was found in particular, was super dense. So I did a little bit of research on canine dogs and how, that whole process works. And dogs are actually the preferred tool for searching for people in dense underbrush. The canine units would have been like the exact tool that they needed to be able to find somebody like that in that sort of situation, because they're able to track through woods and trees and shit like that, and they don't get distracted by all those other smells. However, the canine units couldn't have traced Todd or the four-wheeler if both were lifted into the air and then dropped somewhere.
Fair. My thought process was actually going to the fact that he didn't have any of his clothes on other than just...
His body would still give off a scent.
Yeah, but I wonder if it would hinder that.
Also, where are the clothes? Never recovered.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't have clothes, so...
Yeah.
Like any typical, Because like you see in the movies where they have they give you the dog sniffs an article of their
Yes.
clothing and
yeah.
then
So that's actually not true.
no.
Yes, it's not necessary. If you have clothing from what the dog is tracking or from the person that the dog is tracking, that is helpful, but it is not necessary whatsoever. That's not how most canine searches begin. They don't have a shirt of the person or anything like that. Because the dog, apparently, these canine dogs are trained to suss out human scent. Period.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So something that we learned, right?
Your edumacation. You getting it right here.
So the only way, basically, unless all of these canine dogs were just total shit, and there were a bunch of them out there, the only way that they wouldn't have been able to trace Todd anywhere, not even any leads, or his four-wheeler, is if both of them were lifted into the air, as I said. And that is exactly what brings us back to reports from 3 nearby farmers and a fisherman on the Susquehanna River nearby at 5:30 on the morning in question when Todd Sees went missing, August 4th. Now, they witnessed a disc-shaped UFO, what they called a disc-shaped UFO over Montour Ridge, according to an anonymously filed report. So we know they're 3 farmers and a fisherman. We don't know exactly who they were. And they filed this report anonymously at the National UFO Reporting Center. So I'm actually going to read you that report. So in the interest of acknowledging my sources, I didn't write this fucking part. The craft was seen on Montour Ridge on August 4th, 2002, at 5:30 in the morning by a farmer and also 3 fishermen on the Susquehanna River. It was at the very top of the mountain on the western end, just hovering above the power lines. The farmer said it appeared out of nowhere. He could see some sparks flying from the tower and dropping to the ground. The whole incident lasted about 10 minutes. Then it got very bright and took off very low heading west. Then it stopped and went straight up. It was gone in seconds. The horses on the farm were very upset and nervous for about 12 hours.
Interesting.
Yes. So, and then there's actually a subscript note from the National UFO Reporting Center that says, we received this report on August 18th, 2002 and posted it on August 28th. Before we knew anything about the incident involving Mr. Sees. We posted it uncertain whether it was a serious report or not, and we later were contacted by other parties who confirmed that Mr. Sees indeed had been reported as a missing person, and his body was found approximately 40 hours after he had left his home. So, that report comes into the National UFO Reporting Center. They publish it. They have no idea what's going on with Todd Sees. Later they find out, and they kind of put 2 and 2 together. That report is sort of echoed by lots of farmers and fishermen and local people in the area that said that they saw, strange things in the sky, some sort of odd flying crafts or whatever, both before and after Sees' disappearance.
Okay, yeah.
There have been a number of ufologists who have looked into this. There is a radio appearance on September 10th of 2002 by Peter Davenport, who's the National UFO Reporting Center director. He appeared on the Jeff Rentz radio program to talk about the report that the National UFO Reporting Center has released on the Todd Sees case. There's also another clip. I was considering playing this for you in this episode, but the audio quality is so bad that I just couldn't put you through it.
I was wondering what that was while you were while we were trying to sound check. I'm like, what is she playing over
so
there?
Bad. Butch Witkowski of the UFO Research Center of PA. Yeah, those Poles.
Wow.
Those Polish people.
Butch Witkowski.
Butch Witkowski of the UFO Research Center of Pennsylvania has a video on YouTube where he does a deep dive on this particular case. And when I tell you that the dairy industry is doing just fine.
What?
After I look at Butch Witkowski, he's doing him a good service.
I'm so confused right now.
He just looks like a dairy consuming type of man. You know what I mean? He's
okay.
He just looks like he drinks vitamin D milk.
Okay,
you know?
all right.
And I respect him for it. He looks like he has milk farts, maybe.
Oh, what the fuck?
Anyway. So there's a YouTube video by him. It's like an hour long. It is such a journey.
And we're going to play that for you right
now.
No,
I'm not going to do that to you. You can seek that out yourself if you are interested. It's posted by Passion for the Paranormal, which is great.
Oh, okay.
And it almost has 500 views. So there's that. Yeah, there's a lot of, and that's kind of where we leave this case. There's not really any resolution here. There's that like semi-bogus toxicology report that comes back and says that it was a cocaine overdose. I mean, it took months to get that report back. They had run several toxicology reports and none of them had showed up with cocaine in the system. So the fuck? There were a couple different toxicology reports and then months later we get this one that suggests cocaine toxicity, and it's like that seems like a fairly obvious thing. So I'm not sure why it would have taken multiple toxicology reports to diagnose that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that don't sound right.
Because cocaine seems like something we'd be screening for immediately. Right.
He's got cocaine in his blood.
Neither has anybody really said that he had a cocaine problem. That wasn't really
I was going to
reported.
ask that because, like, is that? I mean, do we know if he had that problem or not? Like, or was that known? I don't know.
Not according to anything that I could find anywhere. Now, I do have to say. There's a lot of weirdness about this case that is kind of unresolved. That's kind of led to a lot of internet speculation. And the family has said, I believe it was his nephew, Todd Sees' nephew, has said that he does believe his uncle died of a cocaine overdose. And I think it's difficult for the family. If you've lost somebody, you're grieving them, you're dealing with having lost that person, and then you have people on the internet who are like spewing that it was a UFO abduction and like not even really considering the fact that somebody died, right? Todd Sees died that day. He left his house morning of August 4th. He didn't ever come home again, and he had 2 kids, right? And he wasn't coaching Little League anymore after that. So I think that people in covering this case kind of, which is why I wanted to talk about those details up top, that he had a whole life and a whole family who obviously cared about him because, we see stories all the time where somebody goes missing and people don't start looking for days, right? This guy left his house. Right. Yeah. This guy left his house at 5 a.m. By noon 30, his wife is like, this motherfucker's supposed to be home. Where is he at?
He's at who he fucking. That's what she wanted to know. That's what she wanted to know, TBH.
But that tells me, what that tells me is that his family cared about him. They immediately started looking. His family cared about him because they knew him well enough and they knew his routine well enough to know 12:30 is too late for him to be out. Yeah, he could be out, but 12:30 is too late. Let's start looking. And the people who volunteered, there was like over 200 people all told. That's a huge amount of people for rural Pennsylvania. So that tells me that Todd Sees was a good guy and that he had friends in the community and that not only his family cared about him and knew him and were invested in him, but the community as a whole cared.
Yeah.
So I think that, that aspect of it can get lost when you get into these like, UFO specific folks who were trying to prove a point, right? Folks who were looking at details of the case and picking it apart so that they can so that they can use it as evidence for their belief in
their agenda.
UFOs. Right.
You know, they have their own thing that they're trying to do. So it only helps them. So I feel like that's why it can get lost.
Yeah. And then you have the other side who's trying to disprove that. And so they're also using it for their separate agenda. And we sort of lose those details about Todd and his family and what actually definitely 100% was lost that day.
It almost pushes it into the realm of fantasy when you talk about UFOs. So it could almost make it seem less real in some people's minds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think people definitely, with that element, people get lost in that proving or disproving or whatever, and they forget that a real person died that day. Whether it was from cocaine toxicity or dehydration or an alien abduction gone wrong, he's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And so his family and community are mourning him and probably still mourning him. As far as what I believe happened, I think there's a whole lot of... Look, I know that the UFO reports and stuff are from local farmers and fishermen. And I understand the trope of like the local farmer being like, well, I saw lights in the sky. And like, I know that those people aren't necessarily considered most trustworthy. But if you think about it, like, who's up at 5 a.m? Farmers.
Yeah.
Fishermen.
Yeah.
They wake up fuck ass early so that they can get out onto the lake.
Early.
Or, they can get out in the boat and catch as many fish as they can. Farmers wake up super early so that they can get the fields tended to and get back in before the heat of the day, which is around noon to 2. So it's not unreasonable that those people would have been awake at that time of day and that they would have been looking at the sky at that time of day. And there's been a ton of reports of activity too. So I'm sort of inclined to believe that maybe something happened. There's the unanswered questions about why the canine dogs could not track him at all, or the four-wheeler. They should have been able to track one of those things. There's the whole weird situation that the family was not allowed to see his body. There's the whole situation of him being described as intact and having no obvious bite wounds or injuries that would have caused his death, but also looking emaciated.
And with a look of horror on his face, supposedly.
And a look of horror on his face. So those details are the things that make me think, and then there's that boot, right? That's found 75 feet up in a tree.
Yeah.
Personally, I would not think it outside the realm of possibility that perhaps he and the four-wheeler were lifted. The four-wheeler was then discarded as it was not needed, right?
How was this four-wheeler found, though?
Just dropped.
Oh, so it was found dropped. It wasn't found, like, parked or, like...
No, well, dropped is my own theory, right? There's no description of what condition the four-wheeler was in when it was found. Could be parked and totally fine. Could be totally beat the hell up. No description. I think either Sees himself was lifted or Sees and the four-wheeler were lifted. They were dropped, because it's possible that he drove his four-wheeler to wherever he was, right? Parked it and then got out and then was lifted, right?
Yeah.
Or he could be lifted on it and then the four-wheeler could be discarded at a separate location. He could be kept and then maybe something went wrong and they just discarded him.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why he's found in this unusual condition of being described as intact and no visible wounds, but emaciated. Like, what's going on there? Because it's not enough time for organs to have decomposed.
Yeah.
To that point. So, I don't know. It's very suspicious. There's a lot of unanswered questions there. And then the whole, like, weirdness of, like, immediately you have the suits show up, and immediately the thing is just totally shut down. The family doesn't ever see him. Why was the family not called in to identify him?
Right.
But there's this like weird cop who's like, oh, well, we had a close relationship. I tried digging into that and tried to kind of figure out, like, did they actually have a close relationship? Were they friends? Couldn't find anything on it. So, I mean, you could really get deep in, you mentioned the Men in Black, without getting, because that's like a whole separate thing. If you don't know what the Men in Black are, Last Podcast on the Left did a 3-part series on them. It's incredible. Go listen to it. You'll learn everything about the Men in Black. But basically, they are these weird, non-human entities that kind of show up whenever there's alien activity or paranormal activity of any sort. Doesn't necessarily have to be aliens. But these like sort of weird, surreal beings in suits show up and they kind of clamp down on everything. It's kind of like the movie with Tommy Lee Jones, but also less humorous, more just blatant fucking surreal horror.
Yeah, I was gonna
some
say.
of the Men in Black stories are absolutely fucking terrifying. But there are some reports that those guys showed up, and you know, anytime the Men in Black show up, it's all about like finding out information from local people, but also shutting down the fucking story. And that's exactly what we see happening here. So is that sheriff he wasn't sheriff, he was chief of police. That Gary Steffen guy, like, did he actually know Todd Sees? Or did he just say that he did and he could identify him so the family didn't have to?
Possibly. Do you think that the family would know about that, though? Like
maybe
if he had a relationship, like, you know what I mean? Because typically, if it's a small town, like, you know, you would know. Typically, the sheriff's like pretty well known. You know what I mean?
But usually in those types of cases, even if it's a small town and the sheriff knows the guy and knows what the guy looked like, you still need the family to make an official ID.
True.
Right?
True. Yep.
Like, I would think you would have to have a family member or next of kin make an official ID. And that never happens in this case. The family never sees him again. He walks out the door on August 4th at 5 a.m. They never see him again. He gets delivered back to them in a sealed casket, and they're told, don't open it. That's weird. That is super fucking weird.
If I was a member of... Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Any way you slice it, that's weird. I mean, even if you want to stay out of paranormal, which I think that there are definitely some paranormal elements in this case, even if you want to stay out of the paranormal realm, I mean, this is weird. This shit could have been a murder. You know what I'm saying? You haven't seen the body. You don't know he doesn't have any wounds. It's in the police report that he doesn't, but fuck.
I bet that's just a police report. Like,
Right.
That shit can be, falsified.
Yes. So that's kind of where we leave the Sees case. Some people believe that it is an alien abduction gone wrong and that something happened and Todd Sees died, and the aliens just threw him out, which I think is a dick move, by the way. Don't fucking do that. People cared about him and loved him. Don't fucking do that. Could be that he died of dehydration. Could be that he had a cocaine overdose and he had a cocaine problem that like wasn't documented and nobody knew anything about. Could also be that he was fucking murdered by a rando. But I think it's kind of up to you, having heard the facts, to decide what you think happened to Todd Sees.
Well, since you've asked me what I think happened to Todd Sees.
Yeah. No, I'm curious. I mean, I am curious to know I'm kind of speaking generally, but I am curious to know your thoughts. I've kind of shared mine. I think there's some definite paranormal elements that can't be ignored there for me.
So for me, I don't necessarily believe in UFOs or any of that stuff. But I do believe that something fishy happened with the government. Like, obviously, I believe in government cover-ups and that sort of thing.
I love
And
how
I feel like the
I love how in 2019, when mainstream media is reporting on conspiracy theory murders involving Epstein and all that bullshit, we can now just say, obviously, I believe in government cover-ups. like it's not even a conspiracy theory thing anymore. It's just like actually, like, I'm not a fucking idiot. The government is hiding everything from
like
us.
you're
You know?
fucking hiding everything.
Like,
We
what
know
is
it.
happening in 2019?
Whatever department was in charge of keeping that like on the DL is like they don't exist anymore.
Honestly,
it's like one person and he has like a social media
he's
account.
so overworked.
And he's just, you go down to the department and it's just some like millennial and he's just flipping through his fucking Instagram and Twitter handles. That's all it is.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what I believe. No, I think that because I've read stories about, and I'm sure we would probably cover this in a later episode, but stories about, you know, the government and creating these like futuristic like spacecraft flying like military grade super
the
super planes or whatever,
the
super
black
jets
triangles.
or whatever, which I think it's a huge possibility that that's where our, you know, idea of UFOs come from. Like, it's not, I don't necessarily believe that it's the aliens or believe in aliens, but
You believe it's covert military operations.
I believe it's covert military operations.
Which is an interesting angle that we didn't even get into. Yeah.
And I think that there's a possibility that this unfortunate, you know, gentleman could have maybe just been in the wrong place at the wrong time and an accident happened. And, you know, cover-ups gotta happen.
Or it's possible that they could be testing some sort of technology. Maybe that beam thing that was reportedly seen is some sort of technology that they were testing at that point to see if it worked. And when they got him up to the ship, they realized it didn't.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, too. But then again, why are you testing it in fucking Pennsylvania? Why aren't you in Area 51?
I guess what stops me from getting into that, though, from fully buying into that, is I truly believe that the government, you know, if that happened, let's say they were testing some sort of technology, and they pull him up, and they realize that it had gone horribly wrong, right? I think they'd just vaporize him. I really don't think we'd have ever found a body. I think he would be one of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, it may even be thousands of people who go missing every year that you just never hear anything out of again. I mean, there are so many people in this country and across the world that just disappear. And they literally are never seen or heard from again.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I mean,
and I think our government would not have risked having them find a body that has like weird clues or whatever. I think they'd have just vaporized him and never found anything.
But if they were taking control of it over it anyway, like why? I don't know. Like, why wouldn't that just be the end result anyway?
I don't know.
Like, either way you go about it.
Well, it just seems like an awful lot to leave up to chance that, like, you know, that somebody who is involved with the police is not going to catch a glimpse of that body. That somebody in the area is not going to, like, I don't know, that somebody involved with the case is not going to see something that they're then going to spread. And that you're now going to have, you know, I mean, if honestly, I'm sure that he meant, it's obvious looking at the details of the case and how many people came out to search for him and how quickly his family responded to him being gone. It's obvious that his family cared a great deal for him and the community cared a great deal for him. But in the grand scheme of things, as far as the internet goes, if there had not been a body found, I do not think this case would be as pervasive as it is in ufologist circles. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that if it really were in the control of our government, that they would have left that kind of loose end. I think he would have just been a case where he walked into the woods and you never saw or heard from him again.
Yeah.
and you never knew what happened.
Yeah.
Because if there's no body, there's no proof.
True.
And I just don't think our government would allow there to be any shred of proof if they truly had control over it. But it reads to me as though it's a situation that they didn't have control over. You know what I mean? And so when they show up to start searching for this body, well, the body's found, right? And then the suits show up like 30 minutes later. At the point that somebody perhaps realized there was a problem. Then the suits show up and the whole thing gets shut down. So that reads to me as though that's the point where the government gets involved and shuts it all down in an effort to kind of get control of it, which tells me that maybe they didn't have control of it to start with.
Fair point.
So anyway, I'm sufficiently freaked the fuck out, and I feel targeted. Feel like a targeted individual right now. Just want to say.
Again, that government agent
Don't come
that's
for me.
listening to us right now does not care.
It's like, girl, bye. Post a selfie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the case of Todd Sees. We're interested to hear from you guys. We encourage you to be very respectful as we talk about this topic. As I mentioned, we certainly don't want to offend any member of the Sees family or any member of the community who knew and or were close to Mr. Sees. We have nothing but respect for him and are very it's just sad. It's just sad because any way you slice it, at the end of the day, somebody's
A family
gone.
lost.
Right.
A member of their own.
And a
that's
community
always
lost
tragic,
a
yeah.
member of their own. So when you're discussing this, you can add us on Twitter, The Haunted Heart. I think it's just at The Haunted Heart. Instagram, we're at The Haunted Heart Podcast. On Facebook, you can search The Haunted Heart Podcast and find us. You can join our closed Facebook group. But if you are going to discuss this topic and we want to discuss it with you, just be sure to be respectful and remember that, you know, a lot of people lost somebody that day and that person was important. Because I have seen a lot of discussion boards where it's just like totally like that's a non-factor and it's like, come on. You can also email us. We love emails at thehauntedheartpodcast@gmail.com and let us know what you think happened in this particular case.
Mm-hmm. And if you like listening to our bullshit and you haven't already, make sure to go and tap that ass, honey. Tap that ass
Tap
on
what?
that app. 5 stars. Give us 5 stars.
Okay. I was like, what? No, I don't want
Honey,
that.
give us 5 stars. That
Yes.
will cause clap our cheeks. Like,
Yes.
please. 5
Yes.
times. Clap, clap,
Jesus.
clap, clap, clap.
I'm not letting you do the closeout speech anymore. Yeah, give us a 5-star review or rating, and if you would, please review us. We like reviews. We like to read them. So shoot us a review if you've been listening. Don't be the person who listens to the whole fucking episode the whole way through and then gives us 1 star or 2 stars. Fuck that. That's fucked up. Don't do that. You listened all the way. I know you like something about it. Find a positive.
Find something positive, please. We're trying to.
Yeah, and then if you are not satisfied with all of the content that you are getting on your feed, or you would like more bullshit, you can get it at patreon.com/thehauntedheart. As we mentioned at the top of the episode, you can join. We have a number of tiers starting at just $1 a month to support the show and get access to our Patreon page. We have all kinds of bonus materials, including spooky stories, horror smut, which is something I'm very excited about, and I love reading for you guys, and our patrons love it. It's exactly what the fuck it sounds like. I read a horror-themed sexy story, and we make fun of it a lot. We also have a bonus full-length episode, so get some of that as well. And that can be on anything.
Yes.
On any fucking thing. Could be on aliens again.
Could be.
It'll be another year for our cover of fucking Alien Case because I'm so freaked out.
Oh, I'm doing one next week.
I feel like such a
Anyway.
target. No. I think that's it.
I think that's
Is
it.
that
They're
it?
so sick and fucking tired of listening to us right now. They're like, God, please just fucking end it.
They're
end
like,
it
man,
right
I hate
now."
episodes when she just
They're-
screams at us about something weird that we don't understand. It's like a
like,
bad date
"Please
or any
just-"
date with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fair point.
This is how I am, like in life, you guys. Like if you hit me up on the Tinder, like I'm not on Tinder, but if I was on Tinder and you hit me up there, it would be this.
Yeah.
So
And I would be right there as well
that's why.
to tell you that you have to
Stay spooky.